we hear something walking around in the woods down this trail that goes into the woods. It seemed really, really big. And he was, I'd like to say, about 30 feet away. He had a real wide back. I'd like to say 4 foot wide, just huge back, dark brown hair, real oily looking, and just all down the back. When it clicked what it was, you know, it was like, oh my gosh, this is a Bigfoot.
This is the Cryptid Creature Show. I am Brian, and with me as always is my co-host Todd. What's up, buddy?
What's up? Is the heat still, my friend? It's a little bit toasty today out there. What do you say?
I'd say it's warmer today than it was yesterday. Oh, smokes.
Yeah. I don't mind it. Thank God I got my AC working in my truck. So that's all good.
I'll let you get it fixed.
I did. I did this and
Just
that
in
and got it
time.
working. Yeah, I know. Just in time. We got a couple conferences or two coming up there in a couple months.
We do.
September 26th, 27th, we'll be at the Indiana Bigfoot Conference in Nashville, Indiana, at the Seasons Lodge.
Indiana, not Tennessee.
Not Tennessee. And then November, it's the weekend before Thanksgiving. I'm not sure of the dates, honestly. Don't have them in front of me. Crypticon down in Lexington, Kentucky.
21st?
21st, 22nd, maybe?
I think so.
Just the weekend before Thanksgiving. So you guys be sure to come check that out if you're in the area or can make it. And come say hello.
Right on. We love seeing you.
Brian, tonight's guest is Jimmy.
Jimmy.
And Jimmy had a Bigfoot encounter in southeast Oklahoma.
Man, there's a lot of stuff going on down there around that area.
Whenever a guest tells me about their encounter, I always try to go look on the map where they're talking about. And I've never really zoomed in, but I've said this before on Google Maps. When you start zooming in on areas, at least on the, it's not the satellite view, or maybe it is satellite view, you can see the denser parts. And that is a very dense wooded area, southeast Oklahoma. You don't think about it. You kind of think it's more like just a flat corn fields like Indiana.
Yeah, wide open. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's actually not too far away from Arkansas. So anyway, we're going to bring Jimmy on and listen to his Bigfoot experiences and encounters. So are you ready to get him on and see what he's got to say?
Yep, let's get him.
Jimmy, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
You're in southeast Oklahoma there. Is that where you're at today?
No, actually, I'm located near Eureka Springs, Arkansas, but my sighting was in southeast Oklahoma.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
You said that you'd had several Class B and a definite Class A. When did these all start?
Well, it all started about let's see here. I guess that'd be about two years ago. Me and my dad, we went to, he wanted to go camping and so, he, had me go pick out a place, where we could go camping and, possibly look for Bigfoot. And so I chose a little place, called Winding Stair, over there in Oklahoma. Didn't see or hear anything the entire time we were there. It was almost like just no life, no kind of animal life was there. It's really weird. So we went to the Bigfoot Museum in Tallahena, Oklahoma, which is real close to there, and we talked to that lady, and she gave us some ideas on where we can camp to find some places and everything. So, long story short, probably maybe a year later, after just kind of coming up dry with a lot of stuff, we finally found a place. I found a place about 30 miles away from Tallahena, real close to Winding Stair, like just right, real near it. And I had my first experience there. I was in between two dry creek beds at this little camping spot, and it was summertime, and you could hear the bugs and the frogs and everything making their sounds and all that. And then it was like this zone of silence started to, and this was at night. It was like this zone of silence that started to move through there, where this, you would start to hear less and less of these bugs and frogs and stuff. Really strange. I'd never experienced anything like that before. And in the dry creek bed, which is where I had my chair facing, you could hear something big moving along that creek bed on the bottom of it. And it was really strange. I was thinking, man, maybe it's a deer or something, I thought at first. But then, this zone of silence was kind of following it. And then whenever it got to the area where I could see, kind of in that area, something huge, is a silhouette of something huge upright that was going along there, and it scared the snot out of me. I jumped in my vehicle, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. But I actually went and camped at a place that we'd been before that was like about 10 minutes away from that area. But yeah, that was my first encounter. After that, this same area, eventually I got braver and braver, with all this stuff. Lots of times I'd be out there by myself. Sometimes I'd be out there with my dad, but, I got braver and braver with, the encounters I had, to where eventually, I'm not afraid of them anymore at all for any reason. I've never had a bad experience with them or anything. So this, the biggest, most interesting encounter happened, about a year ago. And it was, let's see, I think it was I'd like to say it was in September, perhaps. It was cooler out. And me and my dad were out there at this new place that I've been at for a while now. And, we were sitting out there just talking about space and talking about God and stuff. And, he's a retired, pastor. Out of the woods, we heard this wahoo sound. It was really weird. It sounded like a giant person going wahoo. And it was the thing about it that made it really strange was there was nobody, all along that 3-mile area that we had. There's, a 3-mile radius of nobody, and there's only one way in and out of that area. And there's no way somebody would have creeped up on us either if they were, coming up through some trail. But that area that we heard the wahoo sound from is actually in another area where a Native American fellow and his wife had several encounters, which is partly why I wanted to be in that area. But, about an hour after that, we hear something walking around in the woods. We were probably maybe a few hundred feet down this trail that goes into the woods. It's out there. It's hard for me to gauge the distance as well as the height because it seemed really, really big. I estimate, cause I like to be real conservative with my numbers. I don't like to try and blow things out of proportion, but I estimate it was probably 6.5 to 7 foot tall. And he was, I'd like to say about 30 feet away. He had a real wide back. I'd like to say 4 foot wide, just huge back, real muscular looking too, even though there was hair covering all of it. Dark brown, hair, real oily looking. And just all down the back. Whenever it clicked what it was, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a Bigfoot. So naturally I put down my flashlight I pick up my phone. I'm trying to open up the phone app, and I'm fumbling, and I'm nervous, and and everything. And finally get up there, and he's already gone. I can still hear him walking around, but I wasn't able to locate him again. Now, I don't know how that is. I don't know if that's I'm very skeptical on kind of like the woo kind of stuff with Bigfoot. Maybe he can cloak, maybe he can't. I have no idea. Maybe he's just real good at blending in with his environment. But I wasn't able to catch him again, but I could still hear him walking. And at one point I said, "Hey, we got some food back here at camp if you want to come back over here and grab a bite to eat." And there was a pause in the steps, and then it continued on. Very, very, very weird, amazing experience.
Did you notice any kind of smell when you're close to the creature?
No, nothing more than just the smell of the woods. Really, I've smelled weird stuff out there. I'm not a hunter or a woodsman or anything, but I've smelled like a strong smell of urine and stuff out in those woods. I've even smelled a real strong smell of diesel really deep in those woods, which I thought was really strange. Because it wasn't any area where you would have an ATV. Like, it wasn't, really a place where you could drive an ATV and stuff. It was way off the beaten path. But yeah, I mean, that's the only kind of smells I've smelled out there other than just the woods.
Cool shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
So what did your dad say when
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was out there too. He didn't see him. But he was looking the opposite direction, and he has real bad night vision, but he believes 100% that, I saw what I saw. He has been hunting. He is more of a woodsman than I am. Whenever he was a kid, he used to go squirrel hunting all the time. So he's real familiar with wooded areas and stuff like that. I want him to see a Bigfoot. He's had, some other experiences too, like, we went up to the Pacific Northwest this year, up in May, and my parents were staying in a trailer. I was sleeping in a tent, and something went and slapped the side of the trailer real hard.
What part of the Pacific Northwest?
We went all the way up to Washington, and we went up to Forks, Washington. Even there's a place up there that's kind of a Bigfoot shop that I wanted to check out, which is actually where I got the shirt. We tried to camp in the Dark Divide, which is a Bigfoot hotspot, and it's between Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams. We were unable to because of the snow. There was snow. They said this was back in the middle of May. They said there was snow in Mount St. Helens and in that Dark Divide area, and they had it closed to the public. Yeah, other than that, we didn't experience hardly anything over in the Pacific Northwest. It seems like Oklahoma and Eureka Springs, or the Arkansas area, is more active, at least right now, than that place was.
So you guys are still going to go back to the same area that you're going to there in Oklahoma?
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah. Eventually, we will go back over there. The thing is here recently, my vehicle's been on the fritz and have not been able to do anything really at all. It's kind of difficult, because it's like 4 hours away from where I live. Like I say, I live near Eureka Springs, but eventually we will go back out there. For right now, I'm trying to focus more on local stuff around this area, which, like I said earlier, we found some tracks, and I believe they're Bigfoot tracks, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise, why there would be an adult and a child out walking barefoot a quarter of a mile into a really rocky area that has a bunch of briars, unless they're maybe feral people or something, but yeah.
And that's what a lot of people think they are, a feral tribe of some kind of people.
I think they are some sort of, some type of person. I believe a lot of the Melba Ketchum DNA study stuff. I know it's kind of controversial, but I mean that's the best thing we got concerning like scientific evidence. Other than photos and videos and prints and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we tried to get her on the show. Unfortunately, we weren't able to. But definitely would love to talk to her about all that information that she has and she's gathered. You're not too far from Falk, Arkansas either, are you?
No, not too far from it. That's one place I've thought about checking out sometime. As Falk, Arkansas, but around here, I mean, there's been just in the Eureka Springs area, I received four different Bigfoot sightings reported to me because I'm kind of the Bigfoot guy around Eureka Springs. That's kind of how I'm known, and I work at a store, and a lot of the locals come in there, and I've had like four different people telling me about stuff they've seen, in the area, including a dogman sighting too, which I thought was interesting. That's something I'd love to see. Is a dogman. One of the more interesting, more detailed stories too was let's see here. It was probably around March. A lady was letting her dogs out, and she saw one that was crouched down, a Bigfoot crouched down by her propane tank, and this was really close to town, and it leaped up and ran off into the woods. And it's I mean, I'm not anybody to say that it didn't happen, but that's pretty interesting. I don't know if it could have been maybe a hippie or something trying to do something too. We got some pretty hairy people around here, but no, really, I mean, there's been several reports similar to that. There was another guy. Oh yeah, this one guy. There's a place called Tea Kettle Falls, and he was camping in that area, and he was bringing some wood over from around where he had been gathering wood and everything to a campfire. He was camping with his dad out there, and he said that this giant, he said it was probably about 8 or 10 foot tall, giant Bigfoot jumped out in front of him. He said it had reddish kind of hair, and it had like little bits of white hair in it too. Jumped out and just screamed at him. And he said whenever it screamed at him, it was like his vision got real bubbly and really distorted and stuff. And he dropped his wood and ran off, and the Bigfoot ran off too. And I think maybe that guy, maybe what happened to him is what they called getting zapped, I think maybe there was some sort of infrasound thing that the Bigfoot did to try and scare him or something. But that it's there's also allegedly that Bigfoot is known as popcorn around that area because he loves popcorn. I know it sounds like I'm making up a bunch of stuff, but there are people that are locals that they call him that because basically, from what I was told by the guy that runs a outreach center, is that way back in the day, whenever there wasn't a whole lot of people in that area where that Bigfoot has been seen, that there was a guy that had a little cabin out there and made some popcorn, This sounds like a fake story to me, but at the same time, it's interesting. Made some popcorn, and the Bigfoot broke into his house and took the popcorn. So there's kind of a tall tale legend, basically, about this Bigfoot called popcorn, or that they call popcorn. And yeah, I mean, there's that. There's also all the sounds people have heard coming from places in the surrounding area. I'm actually part of a group, the Ozark Bigfoot Research Organization, and we've found some tracks out in a place just a town north of Eureka Springs. And I mean, it's interesting. I think these things are just kind of pretty much everywhere, and I feel like their habitats are getting smaller and smaller, and people are going to see more and more of them.
Looking on a map here, I mean, that part of Oklahoma is really, really dense.
Oh yeah.
What is that? It says the Choctaw Nation, but is it the Ouachita?
Yeah, the Ouachita.
Ouachita. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ouachita.
That's
Ouachita.
All right.
Ouachita Mountains there. I was talking about being close to Fouke, Arkansas, and I do think these things can travel. You wonder if those creatures back in the day weren't kind of extending out from those areas, checking out places, and that's where people started seeing them, in Fouke, because they were coming from those mountain ranges or that area where the Choctaw Nation is,
Yeah, I think they used to be, just more spread out, but have been kind of concentrated, just because of people settling in their areas, buying up their land, cutting down their trees, disturbing their hunting grounds, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's interesting because this whole area with the Ozarks and and southeast Oklahoma is very, very squatchy kind of country, it seems. And over there in southeast Oklahoma, they're very I don't know, they're I guess friendly. They're more likely to interact with you than the ones around here in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah, you were talking about infrasound and getting zapped. For the longest time, I didn't know what to think about Bigfoot after we started learning this stuff. I always thought it was just a primitive caveman out there hiding in the woods. But I watch so many shows and I see so many things that make me say, there's something else to these creatures. The infrasound thing, they talk about how lions' roars and elephants' roars can make you kind of out of it. But I think there's more to it with these creatures than that. People are getting like physically sick and ill or wanting to throw up sometimes. Like you said, it distorts their vision. I remember we had one guy on that had a Bigfoot do that to him, and he said it looked like the Bigfoot's face was melting. How it distorted his face.
It's really strange stuff. But I was watching some TikToks of people beatboxing, and there was one guy who was able to do kind of like a Mongolian throat scene kind of thing and beatbox, and he had it was like he had 3 different voices that he went in between, and I'm thinking, it could just be that there's some sort of way that Bigfoot can, if we can make something sound like 3 different voices just from one person, as well as instruments, maybe they just have the ability to do something crazy with their voice,
Could be. Who knows? What do you think about the whole cloaking thing?
I'm real skeptical of that. It's like, like if you go hunting in the woods for deer, you're usually only going to see them whenever they're moving around. That's the easiest way to see them. And I think most of it is just that they are really good at blending in with their environment. They have natural camouflage. They have a natural ghillie suit on, basically. And I think that they just can move. They know how to move the right way to where you don't really notice them. Just real slow movements until you spot them, and they know you spot them, and then they run off. But that's what I think it could be. But I don't know. I mean, I've seen some interesting videos. My friend Daryl Adams has a really interesting video of peanut butter basically disappearing off of a tree. He like smeared some on there, and you see this peanut butter just being scooped off by like an invisible hand. Weirdest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I like to try and remain skeptical of most of the things I see and hear. But like I say, with my experience, he as soon as I had my flashlight down and was fumbling around with my phone, he did something to where I couldn't see him anymore, and whether that was him going down on all fours or something and kind of, ducking behind the brush, or I don't know. It was strange, very strange experience.
Yeah, you were talking about you were calling the one popcorn, but I was going to say, how good popcorn smells sometimes when that's freshly popped. I don't blame that thing for going in, and it probably did go in and take
yeah
the guy's food.
Here's the thing. This one guy, he's kind of a young guy that had that Bigfoot jump out and scare him. He went to one of the local people that knows a lot about the Bigfoot in the area, just because he's lived in this area for most of his life, and told him, leave him a bag of popcorn out there. Now I've not done this, but the idea was, to make peace or something with him. But he hadn't seen the Bigfoot since. So.
You had mentioned Dogman earlier. I'm not sure if you recall the sighting around your area, but if so, we'd like to hear about that and your whole thoughts on that and Dogman.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting thing. It's the only Dogman report that I've had in the area. And this guy, he's what do they call him, a masseuse. He massages people. We have a lot of that in Eureka Springs. A lot of massage people and beauty spa kind of things. And there was this couple that was getting a massage, and they were telling them about this cabin they were staying in. Because we got a lot of really cool little like bed and breakfast cabin areas and stuff like that. Real nice locations. And they were telling them about what they had experienced out there at that cabin. And they said that it was like a wolf that was out there, but it was on two legs. And it was like the strangest thing that they'd ever experienced out there. And I thought, well, it kind of sounds like a dog man, from what I've heard, a wolf that goes up on two legs and runs around. I hate calling them dog man because I think of like an anthropomorphic poodle or something whenever I hear dog man. So
it's a more polite name for werewolf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing, I mean, there's people that have reported dogman kind of things or werewolf kind of things all through the centuries, going back to ancient times, they've seen this kind of stuff. So I think it's a probability. Where they come from, how they exist, or whatever, I don't know, but very interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you hear so many different theories about it, them being interdimensional, being able to change their frequencies so you can see them, you can't see them, kind of thing. And who knows? They have a language, they talk, and that's one thing that's weird to me about. Here's where it just kind of popped in my head. They supposedly have a universal language, right? Like Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest should be able to talk to a Bigfoot in Florida, theoretically. But how do they know? How do they know that like? I understand how the English language spreads, but how would Bigfoot language spread? They would have had to descend all from a bigger group or same area somehow and just kept that language with them this whole time and just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's very strange stuff, but
I'm talking like population wise. There doesn't seem to be big enough population where they could keep and maintain that language. Throughout the whole United States, to me.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like with a lot of the languages in the U.S. It's like we have different accents. We have different, some of us have Appalachian kind of words that we use for some things. I'm sure there's variation in the language.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. There's probably different dialects for different areas. Yeah. It may sound the same to us, but to them.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly think a lot of Native American language is very similar because you have like the Ouachita Mountains, you have the Wichita Mountains, you have the there's another one though, but like they all those words sound very similar and mean very similar things. It's like the people of the mountains and stuff like that. Because I went and looked into it a little bit, or like Oklahoma. That's the people of the land, I believe, is what that means. But there's lots of stuff that sounds similar. It's kind of like how someone in the United States can talk to somebody in Europe and everything. There's a lot of different words. There's a lot of different dialect and everything. But I believe they all have a similar understanding of what they're all saying. And I think a lot of the Bigfoots, from what I hear, understand English as well as Native American, where they're at. So, or the tribes that have been in their area and everything, because they're closer to them than they are to a lot of English speaking people. So that's what I know on that. Which isn't a lot.
No, that's a good point, you guys. I didn't really think of it that way. Honestly, it just kind of seems strange to me that something that seems like it could be so primitive have a language and share that language throughout the whole country.
Well, it's just like Spanish and Portuguese, or there's how many different dialects of Chinese that sound the same but are totally different.
Sure,
exactly. Yeah.
So,
maybe the Pacific Northwest Bigfoots kind of talk more hippie-ish in their way.
It could be.
They say bro a lot in their language instead of.
That's right.
But I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting. It really is, this, and why aren't they exposed as being a living creature? Why are they hidden? Why is the government keeping them on lockdown? What is so special about these things? And people talk about how they can mind speak and do all this crazy stuff. Are they from this planet? I don't know. It's just so weird to me.
Well, I have a little bit of a theory on some of that. Personally, I don't think they can mind speak, but at the same time, I can't say for certain that they can't. My friend, I have a friend that believes that before the whole Tower of Babel incident happened, where people started speaking different languages, he thinks that perhaps people had telepathy. And then whenever their language got confused, they didn't have any way of accessing that telepathy with each other, and so they started trying to speak, and that's how languages formed. That's an interesting idea. But I think with Bigfoot, the reason why a lot of it is just not officially recognized is because if you look at the evolutionary model of people evolving from apes to humans, these in-between species and things are very small. They're a lot smaller than modern-day man. Bigfoot is not at all that small. And Bigfoot is, they're big, they're robust, they're very muscular. And I think that's partly why, because there's something other than some sort of in-between species thing between monkey and man. There's something totally different. And what that is exactly, well, I don't know, but my theory is a theory that is biblically based. The idea that, not that they're Nephilim, because I think the Nephilim were the fallen angels, but that they're the offspring of the Nephilim and humans, the Gibborim, which means mighty men. I believe that that's what a lot of these things probably come from. No way of proving it, no way of knowing for certain, but just my theory on that, because it makes sense to me, at least.
Yeah, it does. It does. There's so many different theories out there. No one really knows. That's the thing. We just don't know. I don't know that the government really knows if they have some of these creatures, which they do. We know that we've heard that they do. What else you want to talk about, Jimmy?
Well, like I say, with those the newest stuff that's happened with me is those tracks. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but I have several Bigfoot tracks, or what I assume are probably Bigfoot tracks that I found over near Beaver Lake. And this October, I'm definitely going down to Oklahoma to the Hanobi Bigfoot Conference, and I'll be returning to my old stomping grounds, Bigfoot stomping grounds over there. But what are your thoughts on what some of these things possibly are?
Well, when we first started this, I thought we knew exactly what we were dealing with, but in almost 5 years we've been doing this now, I'm not so sure anymore. Could they be interdimensional? Maybe. Could they be terrestrial? It's a possibility. I don't know. I mean, we learn something new every time we do this, so
yeah,
it's really hard to say for sure.
Yeah, it's something that's been really strange. Something I keep switching theories on a whole lot with. Whenever before I started even doing any kind of investigating and everything, I thought it was a Gigantopithecus, some sort of undiscovered ape out there. But then I talked to a lot of people that had more educational experience in anthropology and all that kind of stuff, and it doesn't seem like they're that at all. It seems like there's some sort of people that have a language, audible language that a lot of people say sounds like really large samurais or something, But I've never heard it. Well, can't say I've never heard. I've heard something that I think may have been that. Quite a while back last year, at the last Hanobi Bigfoot conference, me and my friend Brian Terrell, we were camping in an area, and we heard something that I was certain, and he was certain, pretty certain, that it was Bigfoot. And I heard something that sounded similar, very faint, to that kind of
weird language that they have at one point. We did capture a lot of really interesting audio out there too. But anyways, yeah, I think there is some sort of connection to at least UFOs with Bigfoot, because there's a lot of UFO activity that's seen around Bigfoot, especially in the southeast Oklahoma area. There's lots of light orbs that are seen, and in fact, me and a friend of mine, Gabriel Graciano, we saw a UFO over there at the Squatch spot that we were at, and we weren't the only ones that saw it. There was some guys from the Southern Bigfoot Alliance saw the same UFO, but they saw it like maybe 4 or 5 hours earlier than we did, which means that it was hanging out in that same area for quite some time. And that's kind of creepy to me, is the fact that this thing was hanging out there. I mean, it was about as wide as the road, and it barely cleared the treetops, and it was a circle of twinkling amber lights, and very strange stuff. But there's lots of weird Area 51 sort of stuff that goes on over there in southeast Oklahoma.
You know, the weird thing about it is if you believe in Bigfoot, or you believe in the possibility, and you also believe in the things you hear, like the orbs and the lights and the mind speaking and the cloaking and all these mysterious things that could go along with it. And I've seen shows where they've showed little light things floating around a tree, and then they're having Bigfoot activity at the same time. And you know, there's some kind of connection there. If we were seeing like, you know, like a not a Bigfoot, not a big hairy man, but maybe like a little green dude, or maybe even something more like a human person or something like that, we definitely think alien, or maybe even angel or something weird, right? But this whole thing that these things are 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot tall and look like half ape, half man is what really floors me and makes me ground myself and say, they've just been here on this earth. They're here on this earth. They have they can't be any more advanced than they are. If humans were on this earth, Bigfoot, I don't think, would live any more advanced than they do. Would they? No, I really don't.
Well, I think as far as like their appearance goes, I think they have the same amount of hair as we have, or we have the same amount of hair as they have. Except, you know, it's peach fuzz, that we have. I think they don't have the peach fuzz. I think they have like just full blown, whatever that peach fuzz would be on us is just hair, just like hair that we have, under our arms or on our face or on top of our head and everything. I think they have the same amount of hair, because if you look at a person's chest, even if they're, well, I mean, it's kind of weird, but even a woman has like a peach fuzz on their chest, even though you don't see it. They do have very, very fine hairs. And if you look at the Patterson-Gimlin film, that Bigfoot had hair over her chest. But if you look at videos of a lot of apes and stuff, female apes usually don't have very much hair on that part of their chest. It's usually very, very well exposed. So I think that's a distinct difference between the ape and the human thing. I think most of us, whenever we see something that has, arms and legs, kind of like a human, that can walk around, but it's covered in hair, we kind of think of, ape or monkey or whatever, because that's what we're used to seeing in nature. Is we've seen a lot of that. So our minds kind of draw a conclusion there. And I think our minds fill in a lot of stuff that we can't understand or explain with something that seems more understandable. Like whenever one of these things disappears into the woods, we've seen the Predator movie, so we think, well, maybe it cloaked like the Predator. And so I don't know. That's just my little ideas on that. But plus, Bigfoot has, pretty much human-like feet. Monkeys and apes, they have pretty much hands per feet, and the Bigfoot feet are very, very human-like, and they have they have a normal amount of human toes and fingers from what we've seen in footprints and handprints and butt prints and all kinds of other prints. They have very much human kind of body parts, and I don't know. It's strange because, like, I don't know if you've heard of the giants that allegedly lived in the Americas, that a lot of Native American populations either exterminated or drove them up north, like the Paiute. They killed all those red-headed giants, and I've always thought that maybe Bigfoot came from those giants, but according to Native American legends, they're completely different things. Allegedly, the Bigfoot were here before there were any people here, and before the giants were here, and the giants were here before the Native Americans, from what I hear. So I don't know. It's there's just so much mystery to all of this, and I don't know if we'll ever find the answer.
Hopefully we'll know either now or after we all move on to something else bigger and better than this. But you don't know, and it drives you crazy. It really does, because even if you had a Bigfoot friend, unless he could tell you, even if you had a buddy who was a Bigfoot, even if you knew a clan of Bigfoot out in your backyard, and they ritually came up to your house and you interacted with them and you gave them food, you still wouldn't have the answers to these things. I mean, maybe they were put here before us. Maybe God said, "I'm going to make this bipedal with feet and hands." You know what? I want to make. I want something different. I'm gonna make them smaller, less hairy, more intelligent. But I'm not going to kill these guys off. Let them live. I don't know. It's just so weird, so weird. But yeah, awesome stuff.
Yeah. I've actually thought that maybe they're the original humans. Maybe they're the last of the original humans that were made, and we've mutated out of whatever they were to our less adaptable to our environment kind of selves.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, why not? It's another theory. Which is just about all we have.
Well,
theories and speculation.
If you take any creature, human or any kind of being, I guess, and you take it out of its environment, you keep exposing it to different environments, maybe they do adapt, and they of course they do. Maybe there's physical change over long periods of time. But you say, well, people say, well, why would there still be Bigfoot then? Well, a lot of them didn't leave their environment; they stayed in that environment, right? So, so that could be, could be possible. Maybe some of them kind of ventured out and became more human-like, and over time, I don't know. Like you said, you got so many in betweens. These Denisovans, or however you say that. Did I say that right?
Denisovans.
Yeah. These different cave-dwelling type humanoid hominid things that skeletons that they're finding more and more every day. There's so many different variations of a bipedal, two-armed, headed creature out there besides humans, if you think about it.
Yep.
Well, Jimmy, it was awesome having you on tonight and talking to you, man.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Definitely.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Stay in touch, man, if you get out there some more and find some more stuff.
I definitely will.
All right. Well, let us know if you do, buddy.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
All right, Jimmy.
You too. Bye.
Cool having him on. I don't know if we've had an encounter from Southeast Oklahoma before or not.
I think we have.
Have we? Is that Brian Terrell, maybe?
Yeah.
He was talking about Brian Terrell, so I'm guessing that was where Brian was from. So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure we have. I think we've had a couple, actually.
just a lot of crazy stuff going on there. You know.
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah, there is. That area is like a magnet for aliens and cryptids and all kinds of fun stuff.
I know. I hope he gets his dad out there and gets to see something. You know, I hope he gets him out there and he gets to see something. We were close. I know we'd be out there for sure. So.
Well, that's kind of a drive for us, though.
It is a little bit. I mean, we got Michigan. In fact, we're going to be getting up there pretty soon. So. We
are. Next couple weeks.
Yep. Hopefully. So be talking to a guy and doing some video with him, and hopefully you guys can be able to check that out soon. So. Anyway, it's cool having Jimmy on. Brian, it was awesome hanging out with you, my friend, as always.
Yep, always fun, brother. Always learning.
Okay, you ready?
See ya.